So another Frank James video about INFPs. Frank, what do you have against us? Why do you have to keep making videos about us? So I'm going to respond to a video he just uploaded called Why Are INFPs Depressed? Because I am an INFP and I do have depression. I'm going to be 35 soon and I've had to deal with that for probably almost 20 years now. So I think I'm an expert in being an INFP with depression. But don't worry guys, I'm going to therapy. I've been going to therapy for on and off for a long time. You know, I've been to so many therapists that I actually have a punch card. Okay. One more therapist and I get to see the next one for free. So that's actually one of my jokes for my stand-up, because I also do stand-up comedy. You know, I do fit the depressed comedian stereotype. That is a stereotype for a reason. Not all comedians are depressed, but a lot are. So if you have mental health issues, you should try out stand-up comedy. Stand-up comedy is pretty much the only job where mental illness is required, okay? So it's actually seen as a good thing if you have mental health issues in comedy, because nobody wants to hear a comedian talk about their perfect life. So, you know, if you have mental health issues, go take a stand-up class and you might, you know, end up writing some good stuff. Also, I thought this would be a good shirt to wear, you know, for this video. I do wear a lot of black. Yes. My two favorite colors to wear are black and navy blue. Navy blue is just, you know, one shade lighter than black. So I like wearing those colors. And if you like this shirt, you can get it at the link in the video description below. I got it from Lulu's. That's where I get most of my clothes. So let's see what INFJ Frank has to say about depressed INFPs.
Are INFPs depressed? Do they get depressed more often than other types? Are they more prone to depression? If someone is depressed, should we just assume they're an INFP? All that and more coming in this video. If you ever check out Reddit, the source of all knowledge, especially looking at memes and stuff, all the memes about INFPs basically are going to be about them being depressed. So it's a stereotype that the INFPs are walking around in a depression. So, is it true? And where does this stereotype come from?
Well, I fit
First
the
up, let's do a little bit of logic to begin this. All the feelers are like, oh no, not logic. So not all INFPs get depressed. So there's one truth bomb for you.
That's true. I unfortunately do fit that depressed INFP stereotype, but yeah, not all INFPs are depressed. So good for you, Frank, for making that point. I know other INFPs who are not depressed, but I also know several who are. So.
And then logically, it's not just INFPs who get depressed.
That's true.
Any personality type can get depressed.
Yep.
So already the stereotype is getting a little bit broken down here. INFPs are introverted feelers, which means they feel stuff deep down. It's very deep feelings, but they're not necessarily showing it much or talking about it much. They don't feel the need to talk it out with anyone else.
The need for
speed.
So
right away you can see how, you know, that could possibly make depression worse, because an INFP is feeling bad. They kind of bottle it up. They don't want to express it. Maybe other people don't even realize they're depressed. Part of introverted feeling is that INFPs feel the responsibility to process it for themselves. They need to process their emotions all on their own. Another way of wording that is that their feeling is all subjective. It's all about them. They have to deal with them. It doesn't involve anyone else. It's much different than extroverted feeling.
Okay. I just need to say something. I don't know if Frank is going to mention this later, but just in case he doesn't mention it, I'm going to mention it. Just as far as myself, I never want to be a burden. That's a big thing for me since I was a kid. And I mean, I have my whole childhood. I don't want to go into my whole childhood right now, but I think a lot of us don't want to be burden to people. So that's why we keep things to ourselves a lot. And in my experience, a few times that I have opened up to people about, you know, any kind of deep stuff, they're just like, oh, you're too dramatic, you're too sensitive, oh, it's no big deal. Like, they just downplay it and basically invalidate my feelings. And I'm just like, okay, this is why I don't tell people anything, you know? So that's why I keep it to myself and I try to deal with things on my own because I don't want to be a burden to people. And that's why I really recommend therapy. If you have not tried it, please go if you can. There are, there's like the apps betterhelp.com, and I actually found one that was like, there's some therapists, if you search, they'll charge on the sliding scale. So that's kind of depending on how much you can pay on your income. So try to find that one. Also with, therapists, you might have to try different ones to find one that you feel comfortable with, one that gets you. Because sadly, there are some bad therapists, but most of the ones that I have tried are good. But my first couple experiences were pretty bad with those few therapists. But now I finally have a good one. But that's why I recommend a therapist, because I feel like INFPs who you don't want to be a burden. When you open up to people, you're not validated. Therapists don't do that to you. At least the good ones, they're going to validate your feelings. They're not going to tell you like, oh, you're being too sensitive, blah, blah, blah. And that's what we need. We need someone to tell us that we're not crazy for feeling these things. So that has helped me a lot with therapy. And, a therapist is there for you to talk to and open up to, and they can actually help you. They're professionals. Whereas your friends, they might mean well, but they're not professionals. They can't really help you. They might actually make things worse, but not on purpose. So, I really recommend a therapist if you can. Find one. Just at least, please try it. You don't knock it until you've tried it. Trust me, once you find a good one, it's going to help you a lot. So yeah, I just wanted to say that, that the reason I don't really open up to people is because I don't want to be a burden.
Extroverted feeling, what say an INFJ has, where the feelings that an INFJ, an extroverted feeler has, they need to talk it out with other people. They need to be like, I feel like this. Do you feel like this? They're trying to figure out, how do I feel in relation to other people? Is what I'm feeling normal? Is it appropriate to be feeling this right now? And just one of the effects of that is you get it out of you more, and you share the responsibility of your feelings with other people.
Okay, I just need to say something about sharing your feelings with other people. I find that also doesn't help because when I have people, not only will they sometimes invalidate your feelings and blah, 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 they'll give you advice when I'm not even asking for it. INFPs all the times, if we want advice, we will ask. If we're not asking for your advice, please don't give us advice. Please don't tell us what to do with our lives. If we want that from you, we will ask. At least I will, which I don't really, because I usually know what I want to do. So I don't really need other people's opinion. But I think that's the annoying thing for me. One of the annoying things about sharing when you have problems with other people is they automatically think that you're asking for their advice. And it's no, I'm just venting. There's a difference between venting and asking for advice. Okay. And ENFJs, sorry if you're out there, but ENFJs in my experience do this a lot. I'm just they want to talk everything out. They're do you want to talk about it? It's no. If I want to talk about it, I want to talk about it. I'm just going to feel worse if I talk about it. I'm trying to feel good right now. So let's do this other thing that's going to make me really happy right now. Going to make me feel good. I don't want to talk about this right now. And then they'll keep asking. It's no, I just don't want to talk about this right now. And then if you do, they'll give you advice. And I'm not saying ENFJs are the ones that do that, but in my experience, they do that a lot. It's okay, those of you who love to give advice, before you give advice, ask that person. That really helps. Okay, this is something a therapist will do. It's therapists are not there to give advice, but sometimes they'll be may I make a suggestion or something like that? Ask the person, would you like some advice? Would you like a suggestion? Ask them first. And me, if somebody asks me, would you like some advice? And I say yes, I'm much more receptive to it. Whereas when someone just starts giving me advice, I'm I didn't ask for it. So if you want to give advice, if you cannot help yourself, just practice. Ask, would you like some advice? Can I make a suggestion? And if the person says yes, if they say yes only, then give them the advice. Don't just freaking give it to them when they weren't asking. Okay? Especially if it's an INFP. So that's why I don't really like to talk about, another reason I don't like to talk about things with people is because they either don't get it or they'll give you advice. And then a lot of times the advice they give is not great because they don't get me as a person. So, or they don't get the situation. So it's how are you going to give advice when you don't understand me that well or you don't understand the situation? It doesn't make sense. If you're going to try to fix a problem, make sure you understand the problem before you try to fix it. So that's the annoying thing in my experience. This is my experience. it's like, if it was someone that I thought really understood me, they got me. Like, I have some friends who like really get me. Very, very few. So when they, give their little suggestion, like I'm more receptive because I know they really understand me. Whereas other people don't really get me. They don't get the situation. They don't get my life. And then they're already giving me advice. It's like, dude, no. Like, you don't even know what you're talking about. Why am I going to take advice from someone who doesn't know what they're talking about? Hopefully that helps some of you guys. Also, if you do want to share your problems, talk to other people, again, please go to a therapist. It's much better. It's going to help you a lot more than other people. In my opinion, they're professionals.
Feeling, when we're talking about Myers-Briggs, is not just emotion, but it's really making value judgments about things, whether they're good or bad, on a scale of good to bad, right? So an introverted feeler is looking at everything and being like, do I think this is good or this is bad? Do I like it or not like it? And guess what? If that gets turned on themselves, that's a recipe for sliding into a bit of depression. Because an INFP could get in this deep loop of, I'm a bad person, I'm not good. INFPs really feel the responsibility to be like great people. They're so focused on themselves that they're like, I gotta be as good as I can be to help out everyone else. INFPs, the IP types, they get it when the airplane announcement says, put on your mask first and then help other people. The INFPs are like, yeah, of course. Why would I do anything else? I'm showing you a lot of different things that kind of line up for INFPs to fall into depression. But there's one other element of them, is that INFPs are intuitive, which means they're more focused on possibilities and the abstract world rather than reality. So arguably, the personality type that is closest, the most similar to the INFP is the ISFP. They're both dominant introverted feelers, but the ISFPs don't necessarily get this reputation for being depressed all the time. Why is that? Well, I think the intuition plays a part in it, because ISFPs, being sensors, they are grounded in reality, like the real world around them, whereas the intuitives, like INFPs, are a lot more in their brain thinking about stuff outside of the real world, which can lead them to, explore their feelings intuitively and get disconnected from the reality of what's actually happening around you. So internally, an INFP can be creating this disastrous scenario and like how everything in the world is terrible when everything around them in reality is actually great. There are no problems. So I think that's another reason, the intuition. And an INFP's intuition is always gathering. It's always looking for new connections. And so if it gets on kind of a negative spiral, it can just keep finding negative connections and not stop.
Yeah, that's true. But also, I think your childhood definitely has something to do with it a lot. Especially if you didn't have the best childhood, the best parents. Parents are probably the main reason most people are in therapy. So thanks. And that is something that I have been working on in therapy, with like the whole like kind of perception reality type of thing, because a lot of things that we learn in childhood, things about ourselves, even though maybe it's not really true in reality because we got those beliefs from our parents, in adulthood, we still believe that's true. But then in reality, if you look at it objectively, it's like, oh, it's actually not true. My therapist kind of calls it like a record player. Like, you still have the old record in your head. Those thoughts, the beliefs and the things that your parents would say or childhood bullies, that is still playing in your head. And so in therapy, the one that I'm going to, is like, we try to put a new record on, with the updated thoughts, like the actual correct ones. Like, I'll just use one example. When I was younger, I was really shy, like super shy, very like a mute. Like, I didn't really talk that much, and I wanted to act. And a lot of people, especially because I'm from a small town, not, full of like entertainment industry and stuff, like, if you wanted to be an actor, it was like, yeah, right, that's never going to happen. And then with me, people would tell me like, yeah, you're too shy to be an actress. Like, that's never going to happen. You're too quiet. Just very discouraging. Like, nobody was like, yeah, go for it. Like, I believe in you. So it was just all these negative thoughts and like, yeah, you should probably like, study something else. You're never going to be an actress. And so that was like what was playing in my head. And well, an update, guess what? I won a Best Supporting Actress award at a film festival recently. So, I should probably stop thinking in my head that I can't act. Like, deep down, like, that thought was still there. And it's like, well, that's actually not true. Like, I have been, acting, and I just won an acting award. So, it's like, we need to kind of assess all these thoughts and be like, these beliefs from when we were younger, be like, oh, is that actually true? And like think, is that thought that you had from childhood and that you got from other people, that belief, is that actually true? And then if you look at the actual data, it's like, oh, well, I guess it's not. Yeah, and you don't realize sometimes that some of the things that you have that you believe about yourself, you got from other people, from bullies or parents and other family members and stuff like that. So it's easier for me to replace that thought of like, oh, I can't act, because it's like, oh, well, now I have this award. So screw you, haters. Screw you. That's why I recommend therapy, because it can help you work out, any beliefs that you have, that you got from childhood, and you're still playing that old record. It's helped me a lot.
So for INFPs, what they need to do is get into the outside world a bit more, get a bit grounded. And instead of like gathering new connections about how, what my feelings mean and how it's all connected, just like organize your thoughts, talk it out with someone, write it down, get them one by one on a piece of paper. And a lot of times that can help an INFP break a depressive spiral. One last way to look at introverted feeling is it's like a ship that's big, that's hard to turn around. So when it's going, it has a certain inertia. When it's going in a certain direction and that direction's bad, it takes a lot of effort to turn it around.
Therapy. Therapy is a big effort that you can use to turn that around. It's work, but it's worth it. Everyone needs to go to therapy. And like, I feel like the people that need to go to therapy the most are the ones that are least likely to go. Like, I know I need therapy, but there are people, at least I acknowledge that, and I am actually going. Whereas there are other people that they really need therapy, but would they ever go? No, because they can never admit that anything is wrong. So those people need it even more, but they're not going to go. And it stinks, because those are the people that kind of cause others to be in therapy, because you harm other people emotionally or in other ways. So it's just sad. Everyone should just go to therapy.
It takes a lot of effort to turn it around. Some people, their emotions aren't that weighty. They're not that deep. So they can go from extremely sad to extremely happy.
Deep.
Some people have shallower emotions. INFPs, not shallow emotions at all. Very deep emotions. And if you happen to be depressed, you found this video because, you're not feeling so great and you're looking for videos on YouTube to help you out, I just want to encourage you to talk it out with someone.
Therapist.
Find a counselor,
Yes.
a therapist, even if it's just a friend to talk to, a parent, someone you respect, who you can trust.
Therapist. They're professionals.
Talk it out. It's very important to be able to do that. Thanks for watching. Watch this video next. Are INFPs dumb?
No.
I wonder what my answer is. Click that video and find out.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you for recommending a counselor, therapist at the end. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's what I've been saying throughout this video as well. We are saying it for a reason. Don't be scared. It's actually a good thing. It shows growth and maturity for you to admit that something is wrong and actually going to get help. It doesn't make you weak. Whoever says that going to therapy is weak, they need therapy. They need therapy probably way more than you do. So go to therapy. Like, wouldn't recommend going to friends and parents just because they're not professionals. Okay. And in my experience, like, they might have the best intentions, but yeah, they don't do the best job. Therapists are professionals, and you can switch. If you don't like one therapist, if you don't think they're really getting you, you can try another one. It's fine. Unless you do have maybe a mentor or a parent or a friend that you feel really does get you, fine. Go ahead, talk to them. But if you don't, please find a therapist or a counselor for sure. I'm going to leave some links in the description below see if maybe that might help you. Finding somebody, try maybe doing a stand-up class. That's something you've always wanted to try it. Like I said, stand-up comedy is the only job where mental illness is required, okay? Who's gonna relate to someone who has a perfect life? Oh my God, no, that's not funny. So in stand-up comedy, we want people who, there's something wrong with you. That's what we want to hear about. So, if you have a sense of humor, if you have a mental illness, try stand-up class. It's not a replacement for therapy, but it might be good to kind of just talk about things in a funny way and then find people that can relate to you. I found people that, I've done some jokes about my parents, just not the best childhood. And I've had people tell me that they can relate to some of my jokes. So that's awesome. You can actually find some online stand-up classes that you can do through Zoom. So that's cool. Also, some people have asked me about watching some of my stand-up videos. Some of them are on this channel. You can just search comedy or stand-up on my channel. I'm going to upload some other ones. So it's there. You can just search. So I hope you got something out of this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below of anything. And if you do leave a comment, let me know what type you are. INFP, ENFJ, ESTJ. Probably not, because what ESTJ is going to watch an INFP video? Just saying. And thanks, Frank James, for another INFP video. Hope you have a great day. Take care of yourselves. Just a quick recommendation. Check out Psychology in Seattle. That's one of my favorite YouTube channels right now. I learn a lot from it. Dr. Kirk Honda is just one of the greatest human beings ever created. So you can learn a lot from him. Again, if you like the shirt, check it out on Lulu's in the description below. And also there's a code, I think, for a discount. So yeah, take care of yourselves and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.